Welcome back to the Drive Home Reviews podcast, where I review the movies I have just seen as I am driving home from the theater. And there are times, as a film buff, a cinephile, again, hate that word, when you can start to make assumptions about a property or an IP or a film series just based on the evidence that you have. And sometimes you're right on. For instance, I usually assume that the Marvel movies are going to be some level of good to really entertaining, and I haven't been disappointed on that front yet. But sometimes I am wrong. Sometimes you write a film series off and have pretty much pushed it to the side, but then it comes back and shows you that there's still something left in the tank. There's still content to be mined. There's still a gem in there somewhere. And that is what happened in 2022 when I watched Prey, the latest, or at the time, the latest in the Predator series. Up until that point, I felt, justifiably so, that the Predator series had run its course. It had been circling the drain for decades. They had not made a good entry in the Predator franchise since Predator 2, as far as I was concerned, and I know some people even hate that one. I don't think it's as good as the original, but it's still fun. But still, whichever way you want to judge this, there had not been a memorable or interesting take on the Predator franchise in decades. And I remember reviewing The Predator and saying, we need to let this die. We need to step away and let it be, because it's never going to achieve those heights again. And then Prey happened, and I was proven 100% wrong. That there is still good stories and good movies that can come out of this franchise when the person at the helm just seems to get it. And Dan Trachtenberg, who directed Prey, and he co-directed this film, it feels like he just gets it. He comes to this property with fresh ideas, interesting takes, knows exactly how to build an interesting story, knows how to create engaging characters, and keep the stories fresh while still feeling true to their origins. Now, in a few months, Predator Badlands is supposed to come out. I don't quite know how I feel about that, just from the one trailer I've seen. But given the success of Prey, and given how good this film is, I am actually excited for it now. So for those who don't know, this film, and it is a movie, Predator Killer of Killers, is an anthology series, an animated anthology series that tells 3 separate stories set in 3 different time periods with 3 different protagonists, all of whom are facing a predator in their specific time period. So you have a Viking raider in 1841 who is looking for the man who killed her father. You have a samurai / ninja warrior looking for, I'm not sure if it's redemption or revenge, but he is going after his long lost brother after their father has passed away in feudal Japan in 1609. And you've got a young mechanic slash wannabe fighter pilot in World War II in 1942. Again, all of whom have their own stories, their own supporting characters, their own themes and elements. Each story is told a little differently. And right away, one of the things I love about this movie is it fixes one of the major issues with any Predator or Alien movie that has come out within the last several decades. The problem with movies like this, as they keep making more of them, is I highly doubt that these films are attracting a new audience. What I mean by that is I don't think if you went and saw Alien Remus or Romulus, whichever one the previous one was, or if you went and saw Prey or The Predator, I don't think that is your first taste of those franchises. I think that most people who go to see these films have already watched all of the previous ones. They have their favorites, and, you know, they have their favorite beats. A lot of these films have passed into legend and are considered classics of their eras. So, I don't know for how many people the newer films are their first exposure to it. So, therefore, you have a bunch of people who already know the mythology, they know the mechanics, they understand the biological journey that the aliens take, they know what the Predator does. But all the new movies kind of always feel like they have to retrace all of that information again for any new people. And what you end up getting is just a retread of things we've already seen. You go see an Alien movie, you know what attacked the space station or wherever they're at. You know what went wrong, and you're just waiting for everyone else to catch up. Same thing with a Predator movie. You know who's hunting, you know what's going on, and you're just waiting for the characters to get on the same page as you. This movie, in all three stories, cuts out that unnecessary bit. It goes, okay, you know this is a Predator. So what we're going to do is we're going to introduce you to the new character, introduce you to their goals, their story, who they are, what they're after, what they're attempting to do. You know, basically give you a full episode of Vikings or a complete mini samurai movie or a complete mini World War II film. Things that you've seen a million times before, and then at the very end, drop a fucking Predator into it. And go, yeah, now this. You know, because that's kind of the magic that the very first Predator movie had. Is that it looked, even though we knew that something else was going on, it looked and felt like a lot of war movies of the time. The Rambo type of, you know, vaguely idealized Vietnam kind of films. And then, bang, monster movie about the midway point. And so that's what this film does very successfully. And what it also does really successfully is that in a very short period of time, it does a great job of introducing us to these three very different characters, their mindsets, their moral compasses, their strengths, their weaknesses, all in a, again, very condensed time period. It's interesting because I think any one of these separate stories could have been expanded into a complete movie of its own. But then I wonder if it would have lost some of the momentum and some of the no-nonsense, you know, cut all the bullshit and just keep the exciting parts that make this work so well. Of the three stories, I think the first one, the Viking story, is the weakest. Just because it's kind of a little bit more standard Predator. It is kind of the original Predator, just done in, 1841 and with a female protagonist. It's not that it's bad, it's just that it's kind of the more by the numbers. She has an entire fleet of badasses who are with her, all of whom get taken out very quickly, that kind of thing. You can see the familiar pattern, but I think that's why they put it first, so that it can kind of ease you in a pattern that the audience is used to, and then it can get a little bit more creative. So, like, for instance, the second segment in Japan is almost completely without dialogue. There's one line at the beginning of it, and then there's some spoken dialogue at the end, and the rest of it is all action. It's all physicality, and the characters and their story, and the brothers' animosity, and then their eventual reconciliation, and their teaming up against their common enemy. It's all done through looks, it's a show don't tell kind of thing, and it's really, really fucking well done. The most interesting one, just in terms of it really takes a different path, is the third one, set in World War II with our young mechanic and would-be pilot Torres, who is not your typical Predator protagonist. He's not a fighter, he's a thinker. Kind of a little bit like Nuru was in Prey, but even she was a trained fighter. He's not really. And he's kind of fighting this Predator just based on dumb luck and being able to think on his feet. It's also the most unique because we have a Predator story that is all in the air. It's a dogfight. This Predator hunts in his space shuttle. So you have a Predator dogfight, which is fucking awesome. It is the part where the action gets a little bit fast and furious-y. What I mean by that is there's this certain brand of action that is completely unbelievable. Nobody could do this. Nobody could survive this. The amount of dumb luck and physics and shit that have to be defied in order for you to climb out onto the wing of a plane while it's in flight, knock a burning engine off, and then not spiral to your death. It's not going to happen. You can't do that. But the action is so well choreographed and so interesting, and Torres as a character is so well developed that you go along with it. You are very much engaged in it. Like I say, Fast and Furious action is stupid, but it's fun. So yeah, and I think like I say, as the stories progressed, they got a little bit more experimental. They did some new things, gave us some stuff we've never seen before, and it's a nice progression. It feels natural. I also really love how, again, in a very condensed time period, think of them as kind of 3 episodes of a canceled Predator TV show. Maybe it was, I don't know. So you have 1 episode to get to know all of these characters. This is a great example of how keeping things simple doesn't mean making it bad. All of these characters have very simple stories, very simple motivations, very relatable and universal character traits that you can identify with easily. They're stock characters to a certain extent. So you don't waste a lot of time and yet you still feel very connected to them when they are going through their individual issues, when they are having their character arcs. You feel for them, which is really good storytelling. But now let's get to the main event, because here is what is happening, and you kind of know that this is where we're going from the beginning. At the end of this film, there is a fourth act where our three survivors are picked back up from Earth in their various time periods, put in suspended animation for an unknown period of time. You know, in the case of the Viking Raider woman, it's got to be, and Kinji, it's well over 200-300 years they've been in this stasis. But they're thawed out, seemingly at random, brought to the Predator homeworld, or at least a Predator homeworld, and are forced to fight each other, and the winner has to fight like this uber Predator, like a Predator chieftain. This is... So first of all, there's a lot about this that is so fucking awesome. First of all, again, now you have these three characters going at each other. I love how they don't cheapen out and have them have like a Star Trek thing where it's like, oh, and now we have a universal translator. You know, now we can understand each other. No, they're still all speaking their own language. They can't understand each other. They have to form bonds and relationships and communicate with each other through action, which is all done incredibly well without slowing down the fight scenes, as these three characters have to kind of come together and figure out a way to escape their captor. So again, another really fucking amazing action sequence, all of it very character driven. I think that's the main thing. Not since Prey has the Predator series been so driven by its characters. I think that was maybe the secret sauce that made Prey so good, and why it is the best pure movie of all the Predator films. You can love the original Predator film. I love the original Predator film, but let's be honest. Character development, you know, growth as a character, as a person, those were not on the agenda for that movie. It was a balls-to-the-wall, testosterone film, manly man's movie for manly men.
'Cause men's odor is what makes men's men feel like men's men. Men. Men.
Man.
And Prey, actually I think Predator 2 did it a little bit, but I think Prey really amped it up and said, these are more interesting if you make them about characters who actually grow, become better, become stronger, learn things through their experiences. And that is what we see here. All of this action, and it is 90% action in this animated film, is all driven by character. Their own, like I said, their own code of honor, their own way of fighting. So, as a simple action film, and broken down to just set pieces, it's fucking phenomenal. Like, it's hard not to watch and just be like, yeah, it's a popcorn movie. You're shoving popcorn into your face watching it. But here's the interesting thing that I really loved about this revelation at the end of what happens to the survivors of Predator movies. Even early on in the film, I was about midway through the second episode, I'll call it, the samurai one, and I started thinking to myself, why do predators keep coming here? In every instance we've seen, the predator always loses, which I guess would make Earth a more interesting and kind of a more challenging hunting place if it's like the place that only the baddest of the bad will go, because, you know, most of the hunters who go there die. But it did kind of make me go, you know, wouldn't it be interesting to see a movie where the predator actually wins, where we have a protagonist goes through his hero's journey, like you have an Arnold-like character, does all this, but then still ends up being killed by the predator in the end. And I was thinking, wouldn't that be interesting? And what I love about this new aspect of the predator mythos that this brings in, the fact that the survivors have all been collected and are still being hunted, is that it kind of answers that question and says, no, the predator always fucking wins. Because even after you've survived, well, now you're an even more prized trophy. And you're a more prized asset. And this is proven. I'm going to put a spoiler in here, but I just love this. This is one of those spoilers, one of those moments I was just like, oh shit, yes! So this is a spoiler.
Spoiler alert.
Spoiler alert. It's spoiler alert!
No. Spoiler alert!
Spoiler alert.
Maybe say spoiler before you give away the end of a movie, okay?
So, at the end of the movie, one of our characters is being put back into stasis, and we see these two predators walking them along into this warehouse, which kind of looks like a more spooky version of the warehouse from the end of Raiders of the Lost Ark, clearly where they have all of these, you know, all these survivors that they've collected. And I was just like, oh my God, are we going to see like Dutch? Are we going to see like Danny Glover in there? We don't see them, but we do see Naru, Amber Midthunder from Prey, that she has been collected and is there in stasis and is still alive. And that is such an awesome, bone-chilling, horrific ending to go, oh my God, so all these characters, because if she's there, then yeah, Dutch is probably there, Danny Glover is probably there, you know, all of these characters who have survived these movies are probably there. Because, again, the predator always wins. And that's what made this film again, without doing a lot, without saying a lot, all show, no tell, you get this brand new perspective on all of these movies. It changes the way you view them. Because, yeah, now you can go and watch any one of these movies and go, yay, Arnold's made it out. And then kind of go, so why haven't we ever heard from him again? Well, because he's probably in stasis, waiting for one of the predators to thaw him out to hunt him again. It's, you know, it's a fucked up kind of oh shit moment. And that's the best kind of oh shit movie. It's the one that make you rethink how you feel at the end of some of these other films without undoing what had been done before. So, yeah, I loved it. Loved it. So, yeah, this is a big praise for me. The only negative I have, and it is such a small thing, the animation is really good. It's really beautiful, but it does have some of that very choppy kind of movement. It feels sometimes like you're watching a cutscene from a PlayStation 4 game, which I think might be intentional. I think it's trying to give you that feeling of it's a game, because for the Predators, it is a game. You know, it is. They are playing with these people, so I guess that would be an interesting stylistic choice. I kind of would have liked it if maybe each of the different stories had their own visual style, as opposed to all being the same, if they all looked a little different and felt a little different. I guess maybe that would have made it more challenging when the three characters come together at the end. But I think if you're using a means like animation, I think take full advantage of it and really go different. You could have done the Japan sequence like, making it look more like Paint. You could have done the World War II section and have it look more like pinup posters and things like that. That's things you could have done. It's not that what we get is bad. It's just I think you could have gone even further with it. Kind of in the same way that, I don't know how many people remember The Matrix Reanimated back in the day when they, all of these anime studios did little Matrix shorts. And yeah, they were all anime, but they all looked very unique. So yeah, that's more of it would have been cool, not a mark against it. All in all, this film frickin' rocked. It's an excellent addition to the Predator series. Dan Trachtenberg just gets this franchise and has a way of making it new and fresh, and I am now very excited for Borderland. I really am. I can't wait to see what he adds to it next. So if you're a fan of Predator movies, or you're just a fan of really good action films, this is a must-watch. Find it. I wish they'd released some of these into the theaters. I wish they had done a theatrical release for Prey. I wish they'd do a theatrical release for this one, because both of those would be awesome to see on the big screen. But I'm just glad we get to see them. So I say check this one out. So final grade for Predator Killer of Killers, it's an A. It's a solid A. It is really fucking well done and amazing. So yeah, check this one out. You won't regret it. All right. So thank you for coming along. That is all for me for now. Thanks for listening. Thanks, as always, for joining us. And as always, drive safe, and I will see you at the movies.